Hi, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Today is a special one because I partnered with Plumsail to bring to you a solution on how you can get the data from a Microsoft Forms submitted form and convert that data into a PDF file. But not only that, we then go on and merge that PDF file that was created with the data from forms with the PDF that was attached in that form from the user. So you end up with a big PDF file having the data from forms and also the attachment. I think that's pretty useful. And since that's not possible with standard features in Power Automate, I'm going to show you today how you can do that with Plumsail documents. Stick around, make sure that you give it a thumbs up if you like the video and that you subscribe to the channel. Have fun. So first of all, let's take a look what Plumsail is and what they do. What they do is they provide helpful solutions that are currently missing in the standard Power Automate actions for companies to be able to automate even more processes in their daily work life. For example, we have here documents, forms, help desk, actions, organization chart, and charts. Today, we're going to take a look on Plumsail documents. It is a solution to generate documents from templates. And you can see here that there are a lot more solutions and are all very well explained. So take a look at plumsail.com to see what they are offering. So then what you need to do is to log into the account or create one if you don't have already, and then you can test the free version. In our case, we're going to go to documents, and here we can say try now, and this will ask you to log in, and that way you automatically have an account at Plumsail. So then you land at the documents page where you can create the process for your document transformation. What you need to do before starting the process, you can actually do it also later, doesn't matter, but I always encourage you to go and start by adding a new key. This key is going to be used in Power Automate. So Power Automate knows that you have an account for this connection or for this action and use that for the authentication to send also the data to Plumsail. So I've already created a key here. So my key name is demo1. Next, I'm going to create a new process and I'm going to start from a template. You can also start from blank where you create everything by yourself, but Plumsail provides here a lot of templates which are very useful. Let's take a look. We have here invoices, site reports, service invoices, sales agreements, and so on and so forth. We are going to search here for the expense reimbursement request. I'm going to click on that. Here I can give it a name. So I'm going to call this demo process expense reimbursement request. Why not? And here we can see like a preview of that document. If I click next, the process will be created. After that's loaded, we can see here the document that is going to be created after the data comes from forms. No? So you might wonder why am I seeing these weird tags here. That's for Plumsail to know where to place the data that you are going to pass it in Power Automate. So you can see here these curly brackets, employee name, department, supervisor, and so on and so forth. These are all dynamic data. And so this is going to be dynamically written in those segments of the document from Power Automate with Plumsail. And if you see this at here, at date, this is going to automatically be created. This will take the date from the moment when the document was created. And this is in the format month, day, year. The rest is all dynamic data. It's not automatically created, supervisor, and so on and so forth. And you can edit this online as well. If you click there, you can. It will open Google Docs and it will start. It will allow you to edit this document. For example, if you don't want month, day, you can write here day, dot, and leave it like that. So you can do your changes here. You can extend this document, of course. You can do whatever you want. Now you can customize it for your use case. Okay, so we have here also the tokens. The tokens are the ones that you saw in the document. Now you can say here what type of token that's going to be, and so on and so forth. But we're going to leave it as it is because we're using this template. I only changed this date format, so it's this more suitable. You can also upload a template and you can also download it. Now, here we are testing. We can go a little bit bigger, smaller. So this editor is pretty helpful. Okay, so now I'm going to click here Save. Our changes should be now saved. And I'm going to click on Settings, because here I can now say what template mode I'm going to use. Since we're in testing mode, I'm going to leave it as it is, testing. It says here free process runs with watermark inside the document. So we're going to see this watermark in the document. If you move it to production, then you will be charged for the process runs. No? Take a look at their subscription options to see what suits you best, and based on that, then you can decide. But yeah, production would be then for production, obviously. I'm going to leave it at testing, and I'm going to move to the next question where it says output file name. This is how the file name will be called at the creation of this document, of this PDF document, from the data from forms. Since we are going a bit further and then we are merging the data from forms with the attachment from forms, and then we are creating that merged document in a folder in SharePoint, in another folder in SharePoint, we are going to give it another name. So feel free to change this or leave it as it is. You can also use tokens here from the document, you know, from, for example, the date, or I don't know, employee or department, and so on and so forth. So this is dynamic data that can be used also in the file name. Important to know is, since we are merging PDFs later on, we need to have this output type to PDF, but you can also have it in Word. You then need to convert this to PDF if you need it, or you leave it as it is. But the merge PDF part will not work if this is a document file. So select that PDF option, and then I'm going to say save and next. So the next step is to add the delivery. What that means is, after the document has been created, a PDF file from your forms data, what do you want to do with that? Where do you want to save it? Because up until this step, it is still at Plumsail. So in my case, we're going to use SharePoint. So let's take a look at SharePoint. I have here my project management SharePoint site, and I have here folder 1 and folder 2. I'm going to use folder 1 for the step in between where we save this document the first time. So I'm going to copy this URL here and then paste it in here, say connect. I'm going to use my account, and actually it will ask you for your credentials, but since I've already used it before, it's not asking me now. So what I can select next is the library. Mine is called demo library, and the folder. Here you can also use dynamic values coming from your forms data, but you can also write it here. So my folder was called folder 1, and I'm going to say save and next. And now we are in the start process step. You can also add other delivery places, you know? Maybe save the SharePoint, send it via email, or do whatever you want. We can see here that there are a lot of options. You can paste in Microsoft Teams, Slack, OneDrive, and so on. But we are going to stick with just save to SharePoint today. And yeah, so here you can see also the process. In our case, we're going to use Power Automate to create this workflow. You can start from here. As you can see, this is very familiar from our Power Automate templates. But what you can also do is just go to Power Automate and start there from scratch. And that's what we're going to do today. Since we're submitting a Microsoft form, we're going to use an automated cloud form because we need this workflow to be triggered every time that form has been submitted. So let's call this demo Plumsail form to PDF. And then we're going to select our trigger when a new response is submitted. Before doing that, let's take a look on how our forms looks like. So we have here our form. It's called expense reimbursement. And I have created some mandatory questions like employee name, department, which is a choice, supervisor, expense amount, type of payment, date of transaction, reason of purchase, and the receipt. All of them are the questions that are also in the Plumsail form, in the document. So I just recreated it here for the user to be able to input that data. If you go now to preview, we have our form ready. Let's go back to Power Automate and start building the flow. So let's choose the form that we just created, and that would be the expense reimbursement here. Next, let's search for get responses, since we want the data from that form that was just submitted. And the form ID will be the expense reimbursement, and the response ID will be coming from the trigger, from the response ID here. Next, I want to initialize a variable because I want to see in the second folder where we are going to save the final document, how many documents are already there saved. So if I have 2 documents saved, then I want the new document, the final one, the merged one, to be called document blah, 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 and then number 3, because it's not number the 3rd document. So for that reason, we need here to initialize a variable so that we can save that document counter. After that, we are going to do a get files from that folder so that we can count them. Okay, so let's search for initialize variable, and this will be my var doc count. This will be an integer. Let's put this name into the action name as well so that we can see it. Okay, so next step, as I said, would be the get files properties only. And my site address is my project management, library is my demo library, and then I'm going to limit the entries to a specific folder. That will be in my demo library, the folder number 2, because that's where, as I said, the final documents will land. Next, we want to set that variable that we just created. Select the var.count variable, and the value will be an expression. So the expression will be the length of that response of body value get files properties only. So after the response will come back from the get files properties only, we can count the values, and that will give us the number of how many documents we have in that folder. Let's rename this set variable as well so that it is easier to distinguish. And this will be our doc count set variable action. Okay, so next we are going to use a pass JSON action, because after the response has been submitted, so from Microsoft Forms, we have those questions that we are asking and also that file attachment. And we need to grab that file attachment ID from the response so that we can then go to OneDrive for Business where these attachments are saved and get that file so that we can then merge it and do whatever we want further on in the process. But to use that pass JSON action, we need the schema of the JSON of the response. And to get that schema, we need to do a test run and submit one form so that we can have it, we can copy it. So let's click save, test, and then we'll do a new manual test. So now the workflow is waiting for a submission. Let's go to Microsoft Forms and fill the form out for the first time. So here's our form that we created, expense reimbursement. Let's fill out some data here. Employee name is myself, I'm consulting. Supervisor is myself. Expense amount, doesn't matter, that's too much. It was paid by card. It was paid last week. And the reason for purchase was dinner with customer. And the receipt, we need to upload here one file. Let's grab this demo receipt here. And then I'm going to click submit. The form has been submitted. Let's go back to Power Automate to see how the response looks like. Now the flow ran successfully, and where we can find it is in these get response details. So if we scroll here down at the outputs, we have here the responses of our questions like reason for purchase, department, employee name, and so on. And here in the receipt section, which was our upload a file receipt question, we have this JSON formatted response here. And here a couple of key value pair data, and the one we need to grab that item is this ID here. But because we cannot access this information as a standard dynamic value after this action in Power Automate, we need to grab this schema here from this answer. Let's copy it. And then in our Power Automate workflow, we need to use that pass JSON action. So let's search here for pass JSON. The content which we are going to pass into this action are going to come from that question, so that we can find in the dynamic information from our get response details and from the received question. So then the schema here, you can either write it manually if you're that good, but you can also generate it from sample, and the sample is the one we just copied. So I'm going to paste it there, click done, and Power Automate will automatically generate this JSON schema for me. And here's the ID that we need. So next, what we want to do is to somehow grab multiple files, or to be able to grab multiple files, because we don't want the user to be limited into only being able to upload one file. Maybe they have like 2 receipts or 3 or whatever, so that they can be able to upload multiple receipts at once. We of course need to allow that in our Microsoft Forms. So if we check the question receipt where we upload the files, I have here the file number limit to 10. So, and also I have limited it to PDF files so that we can then merge them without having any problems. Okay, so to be able to grab all those files, we need to initialize another variable. So let's search for initialize variable, and this one here will be our var files, and this will be f-type array. No? So we want to grab the files and then place them into this array so that we can then later on use this variable with all the files in our merge PDF action that we're going to do later on. So now that we have this variable, we can continue and do another action, which is called get file content, but not from SharePoint, but from OneDrive for Business, because as I said, that's where the files that are submitted with Microsoft Forms are saved. And here we can see that it is requiring the unique identifier of the file. That is that ID that we are now getting thanks to our parse JSON action. So this is our parse JSON response, and here we have now the ID. Because, as I said, just by using the response details, we see the receipt here, but we don't see the ID of each of those files. So it's important to do that parse JSON action. So what will happen here is that it will create an apply to each loop, because as I said, even if you just upload one file, JSON formatted responses will always generate an apply to each loop so that Power Automate can handle also multiple files. Okay, so let's select the ID. And as I said, here we have our apply to each loop. Next, we want to append these file contents into our array variable. So we are sending 1 or 2 files or more. And for each file, we are grabbing it from OneDrive for Business and appending it into our variable, so that we end up with all the file contents, which we can use later on. So let's search for append to array. There it is. Let's select our array variable, var files, and the value that we are appending is the file content from the get file content action. Next, I want to find the supervisor. So we have here this question, where is it here, supervisor, and we're writing a name, like a display name. So to make it a little bit prettier, I want to go into the find user data from Microsoft 365 or Office 365 in this case, and search for that specific user which we are writing in our forms. And we can search here by display name, given name, surname, and so on and so forth. Since we're writing a display name in the form, I can use that data as a dynamic value here, and that was our supervisor. So then now I have the supervisor, and next we are going to start an approval process where the supervisor is going to have, it's going to approve or decline the expense that we had just submitted. So let's search here for start approval. There it is, start and wait for an approval. Approval type would be approve or reject. Everyone must approve. The title will be a new reimbursement request submitted by, let's grab here the dynamic value from the employee name. The assigned to is now going to be the email from that person that we find by search for users. The problem we have here is that this will create an apply to each loop, because search for users with S at the end means that they can be multiple. So just to overcome this apply to each loop, so that I can show you how you can do that, I've created this short expression here where we go into the body of this find supervisor action, and then in the values, and then we grab the first item in that array. Now the first item will start by 0, that's why it's 0 here. And then we grab the user principal name so that we don't have that apply to each into our approval process. I want to copy that and then write it here in the expression. Select OK. And this is for the assigned to part. What I need to do, of course, is to rename this search for users to this here, because find supervisor is my action here. So find supervisor is going to be my action called. Next, of course, we need to use here a condition where we are going to see what the response from the approval request was. And here we are going to use the outcome of the approval is equal to approve. If that is equal to approve, then it will go the yes path. If it's not, then we'll go the no path. So for the no path, I'm not going to do anything. You can think yourself what you want to do if the request was declined. Maybe send a notification to the employee who submitted it, or whatever. So we're going to stick on the yes path when the approval has been approved, and see how we can then create the document with Plumsail and then merge it also with Plumsail, so that we end up with a nicely merged document with the data from forms and also all of the attached documents. Okay, so for that we need to search for Plumsail documents, start document generation process. So this is now going to ask for the name of the process that we created, and that is called demo process expense reimbursement request, if you remember. So after selecting it, will now load the dynamic data that we can place there, or the fields where we can place dynamic data. And this employee name, department are all those fields that we saw in those double curly brackets. And so that's how Plumsail, the connector, can know where to place the dynamic data that we are going to pass now. So there are two ways to do it. You can either use these user-friendly fields that you can see here with the names of the properties, or you can go into JSON mode, and then you can just write the JSON with the key value pairs yourself. But let's stick to the user-friendly mode. It's a bit easier. So we have here the employee name, and then we can search here in the dynamic values from get response details. That was employee name. The department, we also have it here, department. So the supervisor now, it's similar to what we did for the start and wait of an approval, but instead of grabbing, as we did here, the user principal name, we just want it here to be the name, so the display name of that supervisor. So I wrote this little expression here. It's pretty much the same, no? From the find supervisor action, the value, the first item, but instead of user principal name, we grab the display name. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it in here as an expression. Click OK, and that way we have the nicely written display name of that supervisor. Okay, so next we want the expense amount. Let's scroll to the bottom. There it is. Payment type of payment, the transaction date, transaction, and last but not least, the reason for purchase. And that should be also here. Okay, so now this action, this step will create that document from the forms data and also save it into our folder number 1. Because as we said, we have 2 folders. In the first folder, it will be saved the document with the data from forms. And then in the second one will be saved the document with all the documents that the user appended or the user attached. So we have the document for forms and the rest so on. You don't have to do this step. It's just for showcasing how you can work with multiple folders and also showing you how you can use that destination feature from Plumsail that I showcased, where you decide where to save the document. What you can also do is skip that part, because in this part, in this action here, the document will be already created. So in the next action, in my case, we want to append the document created in this action to that array with the documents from our attachments. So let's search here for append to array variable, and let's say var files. And here we can use, as you can see, the result file from this start document generation process. Okay, so now we have the final document where we or the final array with all that information. So what we need to do next is we can use another Plumsail action here called merge PDF. And here we can see that we can also use these friendly fields, user-friendly fields, where we can pass the content from the files into each of these fields, and then it will be merged. But we need to be careful here because we are bringing an array with multiple files. And if you switch here to, switch to input entire array, we can see that we have this square brackets and then null because the fields are empty. Since we have all the content of the documents into our array, you need to remove those square brackets, and we can place here our files. And last but not least, we are going to say create file, because in this step, we don't have that destination feature in the merge PDF. We have it in the start document generation process. So if we want to have the complete file with the merged attachments, we need to do a create file action from SharePoint. So the name of this file will be called receipt underscore, and then we need to grab this variable document count. But as we said, because we are writing the same document library, we want to see how many files are already there in that file library or that document library. And if there are 2 files, then I want to be called, my new file, I want to be called 3, or to have the 3 in its name. To do so, I'm just going to add 1 in that var document count variable that we have. So for that, I can write here this expression, which I have already prepared. Let me open it real quick. As you can see, pretty simple. Var doc count is our variable here. Var doc count, you can see here. And we are adding 1 into this variable. So let's copy this expression, and I'm going to add it after my underscore, paste it in here, click OK. And then I want to have my ending for the file .pdf, because we know that we are submitting, or because we know we are merging PDF files. And last but not least, we need the file content, which is coming from our merge PDF action. So click on that and let's test it out. Select test. I'm going to use that automatic submission that we did for the past JSON part. Select test, and now the flow will run. It will go into that approval process. Let's see. Yeah, it found myself. Now it's in the approval process. Let's see my Outlook. I should receive an email now. There it is. Let's approve it, submit. And the workflow should now continue. It was approved. It's in the conditions, so it will go the yes path. So now the document is being generated. And if we see in our demo library folder 1, we have it here a few seconds ago. And this is only the data from forms. So this is to showcase to you guys how you can use that destination feature in Plumsail documents. But as I said, we go a step further and then we merge that information, those attachments as well. And we use this merge PDF step, and then we create the file in the second folder. And that we can see if we go to the second folder, and we have here this receipt number 1. And we have here this invoice which was attached, and at the bottom we have the information from the forms data. And since we are using this workflow, or since we made this workflow for multiple files as well, let's test it out how it looks like if we upload many files. So let's go back, click edit, select test. This time we make a manual one, test again. So my workflow now is waiting for a new submission. Let's go to forms, preview, add here some more data. And let's upload a couple of files. Okay, so I'm uploading now 2 files. You can upload up to 10, as I said, and then select submit. We just received the email from the approval process. Let's approve this as well. And let's see, in the first folder, we still have 1 document because this is also always called the same. It will be always replaced. So that's something you need to keep in mind. And so if we open it, it will have this new information of 545. That was the new expense amount. So let's see, in the second folder, we have now our second receipt. And as we saw, we have now 2 documents, or we already have 1 document. It's the second one. That's why the number 2. Now we are adding that one. And if we open it, we should have now 1. And this was also an invoice that I attached. And this is the template that we use from Plumsail to generate the data, to grab the data. So these are now 3 documents, all attached nicely in one PDF. I think that's all I wanted to share with you today. I hope you liked it. I hope it helps you. And if you need more information, let me know in the comments. I will try to put everything around the solution and Plumsail and the connectors and so on and so forth in the video description. If you liked the video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and that you subscribe to the channel. It will help the channel grow as well. Hope you liked it. Thanks for watching. Have fun. See you in the next one. Bye.